Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the 2020 Kehillah Jewish High School graduation ceremony. Please rise for the Star-Spangled Banner and Hektikva performed by Sam Fisher and Darren Mendel.
Welcome to this year's graduation ceremony as we celebrate the class of 2020. What a year to graduate high school. What a strange time it is indeed. But seniors, we want you to know that that we're so proud of you. What an extraordinary ordeal you have gone through this year, and we're just so very proud of you. We're so excited about the future and what it holds for you, and we're here to celebrate your successes these past 4 years at Kehillah Jewish High School. So to get us started, let's take a moment and say a blessing of thanksgiving. Even as there are many people suffering in the world today, we are blessed to be here together and celebrating this auspicious occasion. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Amen. Blessed is Adonai, the great mystery that precedes and pervades all of life, for giving us life, for allowing us to linger here together these past 4 years, and for bringing us here to this moment to celebrate your great accomplishments. And let us say, Amen. Congratulations, seniors.
Members of the board, Kehillah staff, parents, families, friends, and most importantly, the class of 2020, welcome. Seniors, I am confident that 88 days ago today, when you were last on campus on Wednesday, March 11th, that you had no idea that would be your last day together as a class, or that you would be Zooming into your high school graduation ceremony today. How could any of us have predicted this? So much has happened since that March afternoon, and this country is facing urgent and serious issues about race and public health. But this afternoon, right now, is about you, and it's a time of great joy to celebrate the class and all that you have done in the last 4 years. As a class and as individuals, you have faced tremendous disappointment and loss over the last few months. However, you have faced this time with strength, resilience, and humor. And you have faced them together with your deep friendships and connections to each other. Just recently, just this past week, to see what you designed and created for your senior projects, the films, the artwork, the videos, the gourmet meals, the business proposals, having to pivot from your original internship plans at the last moment and to produce what you did was simply remarkable and a testimony to your many gifts. I have to say, though, that your teachers, our staff, were not surprised by what you have accomplished since March, because you've been doing this all along in your time at Kehillah, throughout your entire careers, long before we were sheltering in place. Class of 2020, you have set the gold standard of excellence, leadership, and service to our community for the past 4 years. And all of us stand here today at this historic graduation celebration to congratulate and thank you. Please come back to see us often, and always know that Kehillah is your home. We are so proud of you. Here's to you today.
Kehillah students, classmates, teachers, friends, family, and guests. We left Egypt. We'll leave quarantine, probably. And right now, we're leaving high school. And in all honesty, in this moment, we're waiting to be freed. We're waiting to go out. All we do is wait. There's always a next thing. Not so fast. Because if we wait for our lives to transition, instead of making choices and acting to transition our own lives first, we'll be left deserted much longer than we thought. Our current positioning as graduates and citizens during a pandemic affords us the ability to sympathize with the Israelites. This week's Torah portion, Beha'alatcha, tracks the Israelites' trials and tribulations once leaving Egypt. Much occurs. God explains the process to clean the ark. The tradition of Pesach was first explained. 2 silver trumpets were fashioned. Aaron and Miriam ridicule Moses' taste in girls. The Israelites whine about lacking a sufficient supply of meat. Strange, isn't it? After generations of slavery, once we got out, we just kept whining. Less oppression, more hunger. Less labor, more sand. Less security, more uncertainty. But let's unpack why the Israelites were so ungrateful for their freedom. Why meat was really on their minds. Generations of slavery seem to conjure up this notion that the opposite of enslavement is freedom. That all we need to do to be free is to not be enslaved. That freedom is about the absence of restriction. Ideas all born out of desperation. Except we couldn't be more wrong. We can learn something from this situation. We live in a time where things feel less and less free. We've all turned on the television to watch Murder Hornets, Tiger Kings, and sat down at dinner to discuss this virus thing I've been hearing about on the side too. The experience of high school in the Bay Area, no less, bears widespread similarities, ones that transcend area code or school, but instead speak to a larger culture. As much as we find interest and engagement in our classes during the day, we wait for them to be over to see our camp friends, for the weekends to go out with our school friends. We wait for colleges to update that sacred portal we've had as the only open tab for months. We've waited until this very moment has come, where parking lots have wide enough spaces to actually fit their description for college. And at this point, I could ridicule the Israelites for whining about their situation in the desert. I could highlight the endless pit of ingratitude that we as a people fell into during such a time. But I've done the same. We all have. We're all the culprits of one strange yet true reality. More often than we think, we value security over freedom. We're sure that by virtue of not being in the situation we're in now, we're going to soon be in a better one. But once we move on, we often wish we never did. We stick to the Chick-fil-A sandwich, never knowing if the Popeye sandwich could be better. And spoiler, it is. The Israelites, for example, thought they wanted to govern themselves, but when it came to providing for their own needs, despite the possibility for greater freedom, they became dissatisfied, dejected, depressed. And similarly, the way people distance, stay home, and choose to participate in flattening the curve transcends policy or politics. The signs point to us on a human level, yearning to be free from the virus, to honor the sanctity of life, to recognize that there's a tonality of freedom that lies beneath what we believe to be our foundational, most simple freedom. That being free is not about the absence of responsibility or restriction, but about acknowledging that with responsibility and restriction, we can actually come out freer than we were without it all. That's society. What about ourselves? Life past high school presents another challenge. Our newfound freedom bears the hefty weight of self-reliance. We think we want to be in college so badly now. But who's to say 8 months from now we won't dread doing our own laundry, cooking our own meals, budgeting our own money? Yes, we're also able to determine what we want to learn, who we want to see, and where we get to live. But when we acknowledge that buried beneath the idea of freedom is uncertainty, and that the fear of uncertainty might just be more overwhelmingly negative to us, then the prospect of freedom is positive, then we might finally know how to answer the question that was so angrily declared by the meat-hungry, seemingly ungrateful Israelites to Hashem. Why did we leave Egypt? And now, why do we long to leave quarantine? Why are we so ready and energized to hop on campus or a Zoom link this fall? Maybe the real freedom we gravitate towards isn't the absence of restriction, personally or on a societal scale, but rather the freedom to be intentional, to fill the void we often imagine freedom as being with rugged intentionality and fierce independence, to be given a platform, to know that greater independence means greater personal potential, that uncertainty is just a pessimistic veil hiding possibility behind it. Face it. We weren't raised in this area to decide why we want to go to college so badly, or what larger purpose post-quarantine life will bestow upon us. But transitions like those we're in today need to be between more than schools as seniors and circumstances as citizens. After all, our seniors were moving through mindsets, not just mountains. They were becoming a people. They were moving towards a homeland. Our outlooks too must transition. What is our homeland? Where do we hope to reach? Because when we grip intent forcefully, or at least the mere intent to discover one, we can take advantage of every opportunity freedom brings, never settling for the comfort security allows. Quarantine is a time for reflection. Graduation is a beginning, not an end. And we don't have to wander just as the Israelites did. We entered the promised land. We'll enter an open world. And today we're entering our next chapter. Because we make our own freedom. And it's time for you to make yours. Thank you.
So, it's the end of our senior year, the part of our high school career you've all been waiting for. To quote Woody Pond, cool, 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 fresh water. The time has come to put on our graduation caps, make plans for the future, say goodbye to old friends, and continue along our paths. But first, We need to take a look at our past to remember how far we've come and be proud of how much we've accomplished.
It feels like it was just 4 years ago when we were freshmen, boarding the bus to our first keynotes. I can almost remember the long, awkward bus ride where we nervously made new friendships and got to know one another.
It was soon after when we went on our first class trip to LA. We walked down Venice Beach, visited museums, and some of us went on hikes. And while we all had a lot of fun on our LA trip, I'm sure we can all agree we didn't have as much fun as the girls.
At the end of our freshman year, we were evacuated from the school building due to some plumbing issues. But based on what we'd seen in the bathrooms before, it was no surprise.
Remember the beginning of high school, seeing the seniors walk the halls, seeing the friendships they hadn't cherished, and the carefree vibe, knowing all they had left to do was walk down the aisle and graduate, made senior year the moment to work towards.
To be honest, neither of us really remember too much from sophomore year. Our classes and workload began to ramp up, and we spent our sophomore class trip going on walks and hikes and volunteered at various organizations. While this trip was fun, it didn't even compare to what came the next year.
Junior year, we set off for Israel, where you'd create bonds with each other that would last for years to come. You woke up at an ungodly hour to hike Masada with the promise that we would finish our day at the Dead Sea, where we floated around for a bit and then screamed in pain as the salt water burned our skin.
We broke out in song and dance at an otherwise boring concert. We prayed at the Kotel and joined circles with random strangers from all over the world to celebrate Shabbat. As we returned back from the land of milk and honey, we were hit with the full stress of college apps. We studied, preparing for SATs, ACTs, and narrowing down the 14 places where we could see ourselves in the years to come.
As our senior year got off to a start, it felt like we were being bombarded with everything high school could throw at us, from hour-long homework assignments to never-ending college essays. Then, once we had finally pushed through the hardest stretch, we made it out. As we boarded our plane to New York, we finally had the weight lifted off our shoulders and started to plan how the next 5 months of our high school year would end.
Other than being packed like sardines on the subway just a week before shelter in place, the New York trip was an amazing way to end our high school years. It was a great week to spend with the friends we've made over the past 4 years, and we even got to meet some new interesting folks on the subway.
And then coronavirus. Prom, weekend parties, trips with friends, even summer plans out the window. And you could forget about an in-person graduation. The years we had spent waiting for the perfect end of high school all gone down the drain. But we shouldn't forget about the other hardships we've overcome throughout our high school careers.
We know those whose lives were affected by the wildfires that ravaged California. We've been impacted by the fear caused by mass shootings across the US, and we've witnessed the second most devastating attack to occur on American soil. Now, we face a pandemic, the likes and size of which no one in the modern era has ever seen.
Yet after each one of these events, we've persevered. We've hosted friends and family whose homes were destroyed. We came together as a community to comfort one another during times of uncertainty. And with perseverance, our community and the rest of the world will get through this.
While we continue to face one of the biggest challenges we may ever have to endure, let's not forget about all the positive moments we've shared together over the last 4 years. We've had a senior year like no other, but looking back on our high school career, I'm sure we'll remember it for the great times spent together and not these few months spent apart.
It's been 4 years since my first day at Kehillah. 4 years of studying and time spent learning. 4 years of forging relationships with teachers and my fellow classmates. 4 years of tireless effort trying to connect to the Wi-Fi and to find a space to park. In these 4 years, I've changed. And no, I'm not talking about puberty. I've learned what my true passions are. I understand how it feels to put in years of work into something and see the outcome. And I feel ready for what the future holds for me. I thank Kehillah for giving me the space to learn about myself. Kehillah allowed me to explore. Whenever I think about what makes Kehillah special, I think back to my first day of my first class of freshman year. I walked into Dr. Bordelon's class titled, Let Me Entertain You. And what I expected to be a biblical text study class typical of my previous 9 years of Jewish education became a deep dive on the history of Jews in American entertainment, culminating with me performing a Jewish-themed rap battle in front of the entire school. What made my Kehillah experience special was the ability to take my own path. In my 4 years, I went from a Jewish studies class about Yiddish theater and Seinfeld to learning about diaspora history, to a class that meshed ancient philosophy with contemporary psychology. At Kehillah, there's so many opportunities to explore in the classroom. Sophomore year, when I thought that I maybe wanted to pursue a tech career without any prior knowledge, I decided to take computer science and coding. Even though I never took another similar class, Kehillah gave me the chance to try something new. But Kehillah isn't just a place to learn in the classroom. Sophomore year, after a strong first half of the basketball season, I went down with a knee injury, sidelining me for a large chunk of games. And while I was distraught that I would not be able to play the game I loved alongside my friends, what kept me going was the support they gave me. They encouraged me to take a new role on the team. I helped our coach during practice, offered my insight during games, and cheered on my teammates from the bench. Surprisingly, they listened to me, because every time I encouraged my teammates on the court, they were there to reassure me in my new role. While I wasn't able to directly make my own impact on the court while I was out, I learned an important lesson about encouraging others that I'll take with me into the future. A lesson that is always present at Kehillah. What's special about Kehillah is that there isn't the culture of competition that exists at so many other high schools. Here, people care for each other. During my 4 years at Kehillah, whenever an athlete was down, every teammate was there to help them up. Each agonizing moment spent studying for a test was matched by a teacher asking how they can make their class better. Every anxious moment in the college counseling office was coupled with a classmate ready to brighten my day. Never mattered how someone did in a class. What mattered was that they went through it with people that supported them. These past 4 years have changed me. Given the platform to explore, I discovered new passions, delved into new topics, forged new friendships, and became a part of this special community. Most importantly, I learned important life lessons that I'll take with me into my future. Thank you, Kehillah, for helping me develop into the person that I am today.
Up next, we're going to watch the senior video, a collection of pictures and stories from our 4 years at Kehillah. It's been great going to school with you guys. It went by so fast. I know we're all going to go on to do amazing things. Now let's look at all our memories together.
One of my favorite memories from all throughout high school has been just the culture that's been created in my individual classes. It's nice that we get to have really small classes, and I think especially as an upperclassman, some of the best memories I've made have just been laughing, quote walls. Some really memorable experiences were Mr. Marmer's modern poetry class in 11th grade and Miss Wolfden's calculus class this year. Just being around people all day who connecting with me around learning and connecting with them too has felt amazing.
Earlier, Miss Businski had showed us, just for the fun of it, a old commercial from Sizzlers. It's like a song about how Sizzlers is like with the times of like changing America for the 90s, the upcoming decade. And everyone was very adamant they wanted to remake the Sizzlers commercials to be about AP Lang. So that's what we did. We rewrote the commercial and the song to be about AP Lang, and we performed it. And I think that was a good moment for me.
For me, Kehillah has really made me more interested in understanding more things about myself and understanding how, learning more about the world, really. I feel like I've really learned a lot.
Sophomore year, Kehillah gave me the opportunity to write and direct my own play called Studio K, and I had so much support from my community, from my friends, and from my teachers, that it was really just a great experience.
They call me crazy cause I'm facing all my giants. They try to scare me into thinking I can fight it. They tell me I should never even think of trying. But that's just me, I'm gonna live out in defiance. Now's my time and I won't hesitate. Now's our time and we are tempting fate. Now's our time and we won't hesitate. So come on.
My favorite memory at Kehillah is probably any class trip we've had, whether it be New York or Israel. Those moments where we're all together are truly the ones that have been the best for me, and it just feels like such a special energy when we're all together, and I just want to thank Kehillah for that. It transformed me as a person.
Senior class trips and the junior class trips, we got to bond closer as a class and as a community, and I got to hang out with my friends in different environments. And I will never forget hiking Masada at 5 a.m. and just seeing the most beautiful sunrise.
One of my favorite Kehillah memories was during the class trip in New York when me and a group of 5 other people got stuck in the elevator. And I'm a big fan of how there's a sense of community and how we didn't panic during that situation.
We were standing, kind of sitting near the base of the Statue of Liberty, and one of my friends, he was eating a sandwich to the side, and all of a sudden this bird comes down and swoops from behind and steals the sandwich, and then he like screams, jumps out, and so she starts like waving it around in the air, and all these birds start like swooping around and like swirling in the air, like all about to attack us. So that was hilarious. Yeah, I love that part.
This ceramic necklace, I got it as a gift on the Israel trip when we did a gift exchange. Our tour guide Asaf gave this to me, and I have worn it every day since. And it's just kind of been really special. It's a reminder of our class and everything that we've done.
One really memorable moment from my time at Kehillah was when me and my friends went on our junior class trip to Israel.
When they would give us free time in the shuks, and I would go around with a group of my friends, and we would all have competitions of who can bargain the best with the people in the shops.
Me and a bunch of kids and Ben were walking down the market, and we tried to stop and bargain with shop owners. We had a lot of competition trying to see who could get the lowest prices possible.
And we all ended up trying to bargain for necklaces, and this ended up in sometimes success.
And at times we even got into some intense arguments with shop owners. Sometimes we were even kicked out of their store.
But we all ended up with necklaces that really hold this memory for us all.
But overall, it was really fun.
Was on our junior year class trip to Israel. So on one of the first nights, we were all at this restaurant and there was a band playing. And then I think the moment that really captured the essence of the rest of that trip was when a group of us started going in the middle and dancing and screaming and yelling. And I've only seen that same amount of energy from our grade since on all of our trips and all of our meetings and every time that we have together.
The faculty and the teachers are honestly so amazing. Every single person at Kehillah is so approachable and so honestly, like everybody, I can just talk to anyone. There are some teachers who weren't even my teachers, and I can always share some stories or just talk about whatever during lunch or whatever. Honestly, like everybody at Kehillah is so amazing. It's such a community.
I'm really thankful that Kehillah has introduced me to the amazing people that I met here and that I've had to have some great experiences with on class trips and outside of school.
My favorite experience at Kehillah was going to Israel during my junior year. We were there for 2 weeks, and it was really a beautiful time to bond and grow as a class. And I think that
My favorite moment during the trip was hiking Masada to go see the sunrise. And what really made it an even more beautiful experience was getting to do it with my friends. It was just really lovely, and it's really a moment that I will hold close in my heart forever.
So my favorite moment was when my class was in Jerusalem.
Our whole class was walking down the streets of Jerusalem, and we saw
this random piano player just in the middle of the streets. And my class all realized that we know the song he's playing. We know the words. So kind of like without planning it, without saying anything, we all just really naturally created a circle around this piano player and just started singing.
We sang Imagine and other songs with this cute couple that was playing the piano, and it just felt like all of us were there in the moment together, and it was truly special.
I felt super united to my class, and it's a moment I'll never forget.
And it was this really wholesome and just really sweet moment that I've kind of remembered ever since.
If you need a little, take a little space, be fine. If you need a little, take a little space, be fine. I am one with the corners, I am one with these straight lines. I am one and it feels like I read your mind. If you need a little, take a little space, be fine. If you need a little, take a little space, be fine. I am one with the corners, I am one with these straight lines. I am one and it feels like I read your mind. I broke off, my heart was wired to all of you, it seems. You transmit on every frequency, it's pulling me straight in. And you're in my head, you're in my head. And you're in my head, you're in my head. And you're in my head, you're in my head.
Dr. Dooley is a really important teacher to me. She's kind of graduating with us this year because she's leaving next year. But she's such a sweet and loving and sensitive teacher, and I'm really grateful that she's in my life.
I transferred to Kehillah. I joined my sophomore year. One of the reasons was to have better teacher-student interactions. So I guess the adaptability of the teachers and the faculty at Kehillah is what made Kehillah such a wonderful school to be a part of.
So I definitely thought of our senior year going off campus for lunches. Every day we would try to go somewhere new. We would all take turns driving, if that would be to Starbucks or a little bit farther. We would just be in the car for 5 to 10 minutes, listening to music, talking, laughing. And it was just a way for us to relax and enjoy each other before going back to class. So it just gave us time for quality time together.
I'm really interested in history and politics and government. That's really what I hope to study in the future and go into as I continue my journey in life. And I really attribute that to the history teachers that I've had at Kehillah who have made really engaging classroom environments for me and kept that as something that I really love and am deeply interested in and want to continue doing in my life.
Coming to Kehillah, I was completely dependent on the teachers coming to me and, telling me what to do and giving me the assignments. And after my 4 years, being taught to self-advocate, I use it every day. Thank you to the Kehillah teachers who have given me this skill and so many others, and prepared me for what's to come in the next few years.
The biggest thing I took away from this high school is the sense of community, and I think it's really important to feel like you belong to a body of people, and Kehillah gave me that, so I'm pretty thankful. I'll always take that feeling with me throughout my years after high school.
This year, the volleyball team qualified for CCS. We had never been nearly the best team in the league at all. And then this year, I think because we were all there, because we genuinely loved it and we were just enjoying what we were doing, we ended up qualifying for CCS. You really felt the Kehillah community there, and it was really special. And even after we lost, everyone was like jumping up and down, and we had this huge group hug, and it was just a moment that I won't ever forget from my time here.
Kehillah's environment is really unique. Everybody is always willing to kind of be your friend, to talk to you, even if it's some random person that is in a different class, different grade, doesn't matter. Going into college, there's no worries about finding friends. I think I really could fit in anywhere, and that's a really empowering and good feeling.
One of my favorite Jewish traditions coming as a transfer, one thing I found was really inviting was the fancy cob shops that we used to have, and everybody would dress up and we would have this great time where we could bond with our friends having Shabbat dinner at school.
My theater class, we took a trip to Ashland, Oregon for the Oregon Shakespeare Festival. We were there for a week, and those were some of the best memories I've had at Kehillah.
My highlight of being a student at Kehillah has been the leadership opportunities that have been available for me. Being on student government the past 3 years has been the absolute highlight of not only my academic career, but I feel really lucky that everybody in our community allowed me to take that leadership position.
Just my whole class, they all seem incredibly driven to do what they want. All have their own idea of what success means, and I have no doubt that everyone will be able to find success in their own way. in their own way.
Enthusiastic.
Family.
Diverse.
Passionate.
Chaos.
Ambitious.
Determined.
Amazing.
Motivating.
Fun.
Acceptance.
Community.
Excited.
Crazy.
Outgoing.
Valuable.
Resilience.
Bright.
Gratitude.
Strong. Quirky.
Passionate.
Whimsical.
Variety.
Colorful.
Community.
Friendly.
Adventurous.
Empowering.
Family.
Goofballs.
Unique.
Hello, teachers, faculty, family, friends, and fellow graduates.
While my height may have capped out at 5'2", the way that I've grown otherwise here at Kehillah are a testament to the well-rounded education I've received. Any school can teach the content from a textbook, but only a special school, one that cares about its students and encourages their emotional and psychological growth, can teach its students about adaptability and leadership. I'm extraordinarily lucky to go to one of such schools. I've always liked plans. As a freshman, during my first meeting with Miss Ratledge, my advisor, I told her where I'm going to college, what job I'm going to have, when I'm going to get married, and how I'm going to retire on an island. Of course, we make plans and God laughs, but I was too stubborn to admit that. Life felt like a straight and narrow road that I simply had to follow. Miss Ratledge didn't tell me my ridiculous plan was ridiculous. She simply said that if I'm not flexible, I won't be happy. 4 years later, I can finally admit, Miss Ratledge, you were right. Kehillah teachers and staff teach through their actions, and they've taught me the value of flexibility and adaptability. When Newman burned down, we still had keynotes the next year. When Corona hit, we still had class. And when due dates were impossible to meet, teachers adapted so that we'd have the opportunity to present our best work. Teachers have proven time and again that our happiness is more important than sticking to a rigid schedule. Adaptability has been a pillar of our Kehillah education, and I'm so grateful that I was able to watch and learn from people who truly understand that life is not a straight and narrow path, but is instead a windy road that's much more fun to follow. One of those windy roads was my path towards finding where I belong, where I feel empowered, and where I was given the opportunity to be my best self. I finally found that place in student government, where I learned the invaluable skill of leadership. Whether it be in a club, through an elected position, or in the classroom, every single one of us at Kehillah has the opportunity to be a big fish in a small pond. We are all empowered and charged with finding our very own place to shine. By making the world feel accessible to each and every one of us, Kehillah has allowed us to learn how to be leaders within our community. Adaptability and leadership. Our teachers, mentors, and staff have guided us through the windy road of life, taught us to stand out, and given us the space to be a leader among our peers. Thank you for giving each and every one of us space, time, and love that we need to find our own power. I'd also like to throw in some personal thank yous to Ms. Ratledge and Ms. Musinski, who have been my educational and life advisors the past 4 years, to Mr. Sherman and Ms. Ho for your guidance and time, to Ms. CD, who's been my rock and fiercest supporter, to my siblings for your patience and friendship, to my parents, everything I am is because of you two. I love you with arms wide open. Thank you.
Every year, every day, in fact, every minute of our life, we are given a gift many of us take for granted. That's the gift of looking forward. For most of us, our earliest memory of experiencing this gift was looking forward to kindergarten, our first big leap away from our parents and home. Then we look forward to entering middle school, another big leap. And then we look forward to high school, where we think, I can't wait to meet my first friend. I can't wait to go to my first high school dance. I can't wait to learn how to drive. We look forward, perhaps with some anxiety, to passing standardized tests and getting into college. But as the calendar flipped to January this year, we started to relax, realizing everything we had to look forward to was now just the fun stuff. Our senior prom, our senior prank, our senior internship, senior ditch day, and all that comes with graduation. The parties, the photos, the walk across the stage as people cheered. We've been looking forward to growing up forever. As we assemble here today, and I deliver these remarks to a camera on my laptop instead of on a field near our school, surrounded by hundreds of loved ones, we are once again asked to look forward, to use the gift we've been given. But we are no longer children looking forward. Now that we are adults, everyone in our graduating class has been touched in some way by loss, where that gift was taken away. Our friend or a family member whose life changed in an instant, or indeed, the over 100,000 people in the US alone who have been lost to COVID-19. All of those people who were looking forward to something, all of them had that gift to looking forward taken away. So when we, the class of 2020, are asked to look forward, we must do so with a new perspective, that all of the things we have looked forward to are not guaranteed. Nothing is set in stone. Our book is still unwritten. but it also means we can look forward to things we have never even imagined. We can look forward to being even closer with our families because we had this unexpected time together over the last few months. Each of us can look forward to enhanced life skills, not only because of our fantastic education, but because of our ability to overcome adversity. We can look forward to knowing we will make a difference because we will not stop when disaster hits. We are prepared for the future to build a better world. And we can look forward to having a spotlight shining on us for many years to come. As the class of 2020, everyone is looking at us right now, sharing in our loss of what should have been, but also joining us in celebrating what may be. But in 20 years, 50 years, in 70 years, people will still remember us as the class that graduated during a pandemic and will ask, what did the class of 2020 accomplish? To me, the answer is crystal clear. I can see the future legislators, the coders, the inventors, the artists and healers and fighters and builders who will go on to make real change. I see you with 2020 vision. We will do what no generation has done before because we've already achieved what no one thought we could. We met the challenge of experiencing our senior year in the midst of a pandemic and found ways to not just cope, but thrive. But take note, now that everyone's watching, they will expect great things from us. Class of 2020, history has its eyes on us. I know we will not disappoint.
I'm honored to be speaking today at the graduation ceremony of the class of 2020. Several months ago, when I was asked to be the commencement speaker, I never imagined that these would be the circumstances, that I would be speaking to an empty theater and the students and families would be watching from a video link at home. I had this whole spiel written, contrasting myself with the impressive speakers of the past. Janet Napolitano was one of them. None of that feels like it matters now. I have been deeply, deeply shaken by the events of the past few months. Over 100,000 deaths from coronavirus in the United States and counting, and of the past few weeks, the horrendous killing of George Floyd and numerous incidents of violence against peaceful protesters. I find myself at a loss now when tasked with imparting some wisdom or guidance on the class of 2020, when I myself feel so uncertain, overcome by a sense of the inadequacy of my actions, impotent in the face of the challenges before us. What gives me hope, one of the few things that does, is the knowledge that the class of 2020 hardly needs guidance from me. I know these students graduating today. I've taught most of them, I've interacted with all of them in some way, and I have always been blown away by their collective talent and character. These students are smarter than I was at their age, smarter than I am at my age, quite frankly. They are more ambitious, compassionate, politically engaged. They are generous, artistic, daring, self-confident, and on numerous occasions, they have surprised me with a wisdom that is almost inexplicable for a high schooler. Still, I will try my best to leave the class of 2020 with some final thoughts, a departing lesson, which I hope will be commensurate with their achievement as graduates. I'd like to start today by making a case for earnestness. It's unfortunately not the easiest quality to say, earnestness. Even more unfortunate is, given the current state of online discourse, of trolling, of owning your political opponents and clapping back on social media, it is a quality that is often in very short supply. So why do I think earnestness or sincerity of conviction is so important? As a nation, we face many present and potential challenges. These challenges aren't new necessarily. In fact, the most pressing one right now has its roots encoded in the very DNA of the country, when our founding fathers could not admit, failed to state, despite their lofty rhetoric about all men being created equal, that black lives matter. No, these challenges are not new. Many of them are the same ones we've been grappling with for centuries. How do we guarantee equal rights and equal justice for all? How do we balance the competing interests of a diverse people who sometimes have legitimate opposing claims? How do we ensure collective action for the greater good of the nation, or even the greater good of the world, when doing so requires individuals to make sacrifices? Individuals whose isolated actions are neither wholly responsible for the problem at hand, nor wholly capable of solving it. I don't have the answers to these questions. What is obvious is there are very real problems that need solving in this world. And I'm convinced that we as a nation, as a people, will not be able to overcome our divisions and reach a consensus to solve them unless we can be open and honest about what we really think, what we really care about, unless we are sincere in our convictions, unless we are earnest. I don't think it's hard to understand why people sometimes obscure their deeply held convictions. Speaking openly about a sincerely held belief requires a willingness to make oneself vulnerable, to open oneself up for criticism. More challenging still is the inevitable need to articulate a defense of one's positions, which itself requires genuine introspection into the nature of one's beliefs. And, of course, most difficult of all, is accepting the possibility of having to change previously held positions in the face of persuasive counter-arguments. Oftentimes, rather than face the fear of criticism or the fear of self-doubt, it is tempting simply to feign agnosticism, to hide our viewpoints. We put up defenses, shield ourselves with words like, "it doesn't really matter," or "I don't really care." But we have little hope for finding resolutions to the challenges we face if we pretend that our beliefs are somehow unimportant. More insidious still is the lure of nihilism, the temptation to cast off previously held convictions or fake new ones simply to gain advantage in a dispute. I recognize there is a certain satisfaction in trolling, in sowing chaos through sophistry. This is the satisfaction of seeing a rival made to look foolish, seeing an adversary frustrated. But this type of victory is shallow at best, and worse, it threatens to undermine the very idea of open dialogue. You see, in order to troll, you must have already drawn a line between yourself and your target. You must have already decided to forego any real chance at connection, at persuading your interlocutor that your position has merits. Trolling doesn't require you have a position at all. It is nihilistic, the antithesis of earnestness. And it threatens to undermine the very notion of productive discussion and debate, one of our most important tools in working towards reconciliation. What we need from you, class of 2020, is to go out into the world and pursue each your own interests. Follow your passions, but do so with openness and honesty about your convictions. We need you to enter the political discourse, stand up, and courageously state, "This is what I want, and here is why." And when someone challenges you, when someone inevitably says that what you want is wrong, or the reason you want it is wrong, we need you to listen, probe your convictions, investigate your beliefs, and then reply and say, "This is now what I want," or "This is still what I want. And let me tell you why." What I'm asking class of 2020 is that you set an example for the rest of us. Show us what it means to pursue your goals with honesty, with integrity. I care less about what those specific goals are and more about how you pursue them, because there's a high probability, possibly even a certainty, that at some point your aims will run counter to each other's and counter to mine. But I see little hope of us coming together to fix the great problems we now face unless we can speak openly and honestly about what we wish to achieve and why we wish to achieve it. Unless we are earnest in our pursuits. I don't mean to sound Pollyannish. I'm not suggesting that earnestness is the single key to solving all of our collective global problems. The fact is, there will certainly come a time, class of 2020, when each of you will be confronted by a political, intellectual, or philosophical idea that challenges the claim to legitimacy, authority, or truth of your own. In these instances, earnestness can facilitate a productive debate, but it alone cannot resolve conflict. And yet, I see little hope of resolution without it. This brings me to my final piece of advice. When in the course of your lives, you are confronted by a particularly complex issue, the kind of issue where every side seems wrong and at the same time every side seems right, I urge you not to flee from the ensuing dissonance. Do not cast off complexity for the comfort of an easy answer or a simple narrative. Instead, embrace this discomfort. Allow yourself to feel it. Allow yourself to feel how the uneasiness of knowing there isn't a simple right or wrong challenges your prior assumptions, how it augments your argument. You needn't change your position necessarily, but neither should you beat a hasty retreat from the complexity of multiple points of view. Rather, embrace discomfort. Invite discomfort to reside within you and examine how your perspective abides in its company. As an example of what I'm talking about, consider the two most famous debaters in the Talmud, Hillel and Shammai. I can confidently say they're the most famous because, well, even I've heard of them. In Eruvin 13b, the Talmud tells us that for 3 years, the houses of Hillel and Shammai, the schools established by these wise men, for 3 years they argued over the law, until finally a divine voice proclaimed, Elu ve'elu divrei Elohim chaim. Both these and those are the words of the living God. But, the voice continues, the law is in accordance with the house of Hillel. Well, how can both Hillel and Shammai be right? How can they both speak the words of the living God, and yet Hillel is more right? Thankfully, the Talmud gives us an answer. The text says that the house of Hillel was more sociable, more forbearing, and here's the important part for us. When the house of Hillel taught the law, it taught both the opinions of Hillel and Shammai. In other words, Hillel and his students did not retreat from the discomfort of multiple points of view. Rather, they leaned into this discomfort, and their interpretation of the law was the better for it. In summary, class of 2020, I leave you with 2 pieces of advice. First, be earnest in your pursuits. The world has enough cynics to last 2, maybe 3 generations. What we need are young people willing to go forth and work for change with the courage of their convictions. And second, do not avoid the discomfort of perceiving the world in all of its complexity. Your understanding of the world will only suffer if you cocoon yourself with a simple answer or an easy narrative for understanding things. Instead, embrace discomfort. Allow yourself to feel it. Let it be your ever-present companion, even as you decide that one perspective is more right than another, that Hillel is more right than Shammai. I know you, class of 2020. I know you can do this. I know you will do great things. Thank you.
When we began our senior year, we knew that there was going to be a lot of unknowns. Nevertheless, we were ready to make the most of our time with each other and have the best year possible.
None of us expected that our class trip would be our last time together, or that we would be attending our graduation from our living rooms. Still, we've kept the mindset of making the most of all of the unknowns, and now, more than ever, recognize the importance of doing so.
Juniors, this unspoken lesson of living with the unknown is the most important part of your senior year. Your unknowns are going to be even greater than expected, so we wanted to share some of our advice on how to approach this year.
When I began senior year, I was, to be completely transparent, really overwhelmed. As I looked at the year ahead, 2 thoughts persisted. I'm so excited to be almost done with high school, and I'm so stressed. And these are thoughts that are sure to exist for you all. But if I can pass on one thing, it's to not let either of those thoughts consume you. If you spend all of your time trying to work as hard as you can, you will look back and realize you missed out on some really important moments. I promise the best thing you can do for yourself is to allow yourself to step away from the work regularly. Grab nachos with someone you love, find other simple ways to enjoy your time. Because, and this gets me to my second point, the chance to do so will slip away before you know it.
When I started senior year, I had the mindset that I had to apply to certain colleges and take certain classes because of how others perceived me. I was consumed with other people's remarks and thoughts about my own life and neglected to take the time to think about what I truly wanted. I wish I had someone to tell me at the beginning of my senior year one simple thing. I have to live for myself and no one else. You will go through the college process having your siblings, aunts and uncles, and definitely your parents telling you what they think is best. Listen to them, but never make a decision based on what others think. Because, and I know this is a cliche, the most important voice is your own.
The other thing I would like to share is to remember that you have 42 other people who will be going through similar things. So lean on them. You need each other more than you know now, and I urge you all to try and make the environment in your grade one of support rather than competition. Also, that your teachers and administrators are there for you. Some of the best advice and support I've received throughout high school has come from them, and they love to be there for you just as people. They've been through this before and can have some very insightful things to share, or they can just crack a good joke to ease your stress.
Senior year will definitely be one of the hardest years you'll have, but it's also one of the best years if you let yourself have fun and not worry too much. As Hannah said earlier, senior year is not one that you should waste. It's an important year to be present because you never know what will happen. Make spur-of-the-moment memories like grabbing a bite to eat with an unexpected friend, jump in the car before school to go surfing, or grab nachos in the middle of nowhere with someone you love, like Hannah Stern. Just be happy that you lived in the moment and made the most of the uncertainty. While it may feel like you've spent your high school career waiting for the moment that you will walk across the stage and grab your diploma, we promise that's not what it's about. All 720 days we have spent at Kehillah have not gone to waste because our last ones do not look how we expected.
Instead, we are able to look back at all the time we've spent together and cherish so many memories, both good and bad. We know it's an unprecedented time, but we can say with certainty that when you finish your senior year, you will feel that same pride and excitement that we feel today. And that, coming from two girls who 9 months ago would have found it incredibly hard to believe, means a lot.
There isn't another place on earth quite as special as Kehillah.
There are other schools just as small. There are other schools that are Jewish. There are other schools with a ram as a mascot. There are other schools in the Bay Area. There are even schools who are a combination of all of those qualities.
Those qualities alone are not what make Kehillah as magical of a place as it is. Rather, it is the people who are connected to the spirit and the values of our community that make Kehillah so special. It's the feeling that we all have the moment we step through those glass doors, and even when we click on that Zoom link every morning. Kehillah is home to the most tightly knit community and an unmatched level of support, trust, and comfort in the relationships we have with one another.
It's a place where teachers genuinely care about their students' well-being and growth and constantly challenge them to be the very best versions of themselves possible.
It's a place where students return the favor and go the extra mile to demonstrate their appreciation for the teachers who do the same for them.
And for all of that and more, we are endlessly grateful.
We are grateful for every guest who has attended this graduation today. Whether you have been a part of this community for years or you are experiencing it for the first time, you have made an impact on a senior with your kindness. We both have discovered today that no obstacle can prevent Kehillah from doing what it does best, loving and celebrating. Thank you.
We are grateful for our parents for providing us with the opportunity to attend this incredible school. Yours are the arms we look forward to running into, and you are the people we eagerly look forward to sharing new stories and new knowledge with at the end of every day. You have been our favorite teachers since our very first breaths. Thank you.
We are grateful for our teachers that spread positivity throughout our community, no matter the circumstances. You set an outstanding example for all of us, showing us what it means to be truly selfless, enthusiastic, and committed. Your hard work and every hour you've put into helping craft a wonderful educational experience for Kehillah students have never gone unnoticed. Thank you.
We are grateful for Sal, Eric, Luis, and the facilities team. You work every day to ensure that we are taken care of in any way we need. Chef Hillary and Elvia, thank you for keeping us fed with delicious food every single day. Our security staff, thank you for making sure we are safe and comfortable on campus and for being the first faces we see as we walk into school every morning. Thank you to Ms. Ochoa and other front office staff for being friendly faces and helping the academic year run smoothly. And thank you to Ms. Anders for supporting every student throughout the year and also playing a huge role in bringing this graduation ceremony to life.
We are grateful for our college counseling team, Mr. Sherman and Ms. Ho. Thank you for putting in countless hours to ensure our futures are bright and successful. We wouldn't be where we are without your hard work. Thank you to Dr. Liederman for being a supportive member of our community and for making sure every member of Kehillah feels valued. And thank you to the Center for Learning Success for being our biggest supporters and pushing us to perform our best in every aspect of life.
We are grateful for our administrative team, Rabbi Kleinberg, Ms. Carberry, Dr. Bennett, Ms. CD, and Mr. Smith. You are the backbone of Kehillah. Every activity we take part in, every class that is taught, and every experience we get is all because of you. Thank you for everything you do and for teaching all of us what a Kehillah, a community, truly means. Rabbi Kleinberg and Dr. Bennett, thank you for all of the passion and dedication you put into this school, and you will be greatly missed.
We are grateful for the class of 2020, a group of proud, compassionate, and talented people brought together by chance and over the course of the past 4 years, transformed into a family. Our 53 experiences at this school are most certainly not the same, but they have combined to create a beautiful story with a simple but strong message. We love Kehillah.
Thank you, Kehillah, for making us who we are today. You have helped each of us gain purpose through your commitment to educating through Jewish values, to prioritizing kindness and understanding, to the strengthening of this magnificent community. Thank you for bringing the class of 2020 together and creating bonds between us that will last a lifetime. Thank you for being the most special, magical, and memorable place on this earth.
Sam Rudin. Sam Fisher. Ella Lavion. Yotam Saban. Jesse Mernon. Sawyer Anderson. Sarah Martinson. Ari Nathaniel Glenn. Rachel Courtney Osband. Andrew Lynn. Rhea Hewitt. Alex Gornish. Naomi Spritzer. Georgina Stewart. Michelle Zemlak. Isabella Carici. Dove Eliezer Factor. Sydney G. Jason Green. Jenna Landy. Tavi Handler. Caroline Bell. Shay M. Firsty. Chloe Jedwood. Caroline Kramer. Lillian Rose Guggenheim. Avery Caleb Kranzfire. Maya Entebbe. Oren Kohavi. Shir Talmor. Noah Fisher. Emily Mullen. Max Westerman. Zev Kalachowski. Gabrielle Kroot. Maya Churi. Sanjay Raj. Edward Fisher. Benjamin Lipman. Cameron Elias Golub. Isaiah Rose Yisrael. Anne Michelle Kelly. Hannah Elizabeth Stern. Spencer Ronald Richmond. Natalie Choi. Sierra Masri. Jacob Darnell. Naomi Shanson. Benjamin Cohen. Izzy Shearson. Rachel Homayanfar. Darren Micah Mendel. Graham Charles Piercy. We now present to you the Kehillah Jewish High School class of 2020.
Hello, Kehillah, class of 2020. Hunter Pence here of the San Francisco Giants, and I want to wish you all a big congratulations on your graduation this year. It's a huge accomplishment, and dealing with the circumstances we face today, it's an even bigger accomplishment. You should all be very proud of your hard work, dedication, and perseverance that it takes to make it this far. All of the best in your journey forward. Wish you encouragement. Remember all of the lessons that you made, and never forget that failure is all about your response. Those who succeed the most fail the most, but it's how you respond to turn it into success and learn your lessons. So all the best moving forward. Congratulations and take care. Go Rams.